Distinguished guests, please stand. Truly see the Right Worshipful Lord Mayor of Norwich, Councillor Vivian Thomas, the Worshipful Sheriff of Norwich, Sirajul Islam, the City Clerk, Jan Robinson, and Chief Executive, Louise Rothwell.
Welcome, please be seated. I have a couple of practical issues to highlight. We have no fire drill planned, so if there is a fire alarm, please make your way out of the building in a calm and orderly fashion, as guided by staff down the main staircase and meet in front of the War Memorial. Please do not re-enter the building until you are told it is safe to do so. People with mobility issues should gather in the foyer on the left-hand side as you leave the chamber near to the balustrade where assistance will be provided. This meeting is being live streamed to YouTube and will be available to view after the meeting. Toilets are at the far end of the corridors either side of the chamber. We have received the following apologies for the meeting: Councillor Kane, Councillor Haynes, Councillor Fulton McAllister and Councillor Price. Lord Mayor, I call upon Councillor Stannard to move item 1, the election of a Lord Mayor.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Thank you, Lord Mayor. I'm very pleased to be able to propose Councillor Kendrick for the position of Lord Mayor for the civic year 2025-26. Paul has had a long, proud and distinguished political career, spanning many decades. He first stood for election and was successfully elected to office in 1975, when he was elected junior prefect at Kingsbury High School in North London. From those dizzy heights, a dazzling political career was born. While in this election he had lots of votes from his fellow students, only one teacher voted for him. Apparently he wasn't very popular with the teachers because he was a bit of a bad boy. Hard to believe, I know, when you look upon the paragon of virtue that will be before us shortly. However, in this, his first elected office, his duties included that at lunch breaks he was required to stand at the school gates to prevent the younger children from going to the local sweet shop, where of course they ran the risk of excessive sugar consumption, morbid obesity and potential tooth decay. However, Paul, being a young man, wasn't really all that worried about these health concerns and demonstrated real empathy and compassion for the plight of these youngsters by using his position to help them get their sweets. Here's how it went. He allowed them to go out to the sweet shop just as long as they reimbursed him or paid him a tax, which he collected from them in the form of money or sweets. While this level of initiative and win-win negotiating tactics might be lauded in some places, the type of behaviour, or racket as some might call it, might also explain why he wasn't very popular with the teachers at the school. But in his defence, I would say that it was an early example of Paul at his financially creative and entrepreneurial best. Subsequently, of course, he turned a corner to become the reformed character we all know, which, for the avoidance of doubt, he has maintained to this day. And I must stress this, that on very close questioning, Paul has assured me that this was the very last time he ever used elected office for personal gain. In 1987, Paul was elected to Hastings Borough Council at the age of 28. And there he did some very good work for residents, including helping council tenants in his ward get housing and housing repairs. As a result, 2 years later, he was elected to East Sussex County Council, where his group was in opposition to a Tory majority, but of course he gave them a hard time, in his own forthright manner, which the opposition here will be very familiar with. He also demonstrated that he could work constructively with officers to get things done, a skill he has maintained to this day, and as a governor of Hastings College, he obtained considerable funding to make capital improvements. By 1993, he had a wife and child and had to move for work reasons to Kent, where he was elected to Kent County Council, becoming part of the only ever centre-left administration of that council. He became the chairman of Highways Committee during a period of massive investment in the road network to connect the cross-channel ports, projects, of course, of national economic significance. Due to the need to support his family, in 1997 he moved to a new job in Norwich, which, as we all know, and as he says, is the best place to raise a family. He now has 3 children who he's very proud of, James, Joanne and Daniel. I remember them as young children who a few years ago came to my house to meet my dog. But then I learned that they're now all grown up, and that was well over 10 years ago, which just makes me feel old. Anyway, they've proven to be 3 very capable adults. James is married and works in management, Daniel has recently completed a degree at University College London, and his daughter Joanne is a pharmacist, and Paul is very proud that she will today become the Lady Mayoress. During that previous period as a councillor, Paul had been a Liberal Democrat. Yes. Indeed, when in Norwich, he was a key figure in the campaign which overthrew the previous Labour control of the council. I'm looking at you. Naturally, of course, he became disillusioned with the performance of the Liberal Democrat administration at City Hall and the decision of Nick Clegg and the Liberal Democrat MPs to support and join the Tories in 2010 in an austerity government. So he set about restoring the Labour administration here, and I know how important he was in doing so. In 2011, he came to seat from the Tories in Catton Grove Ward. This was the precursor to and the basis of me winning my own seat in the same ward the following year, and removing the last Tory from the council. These successes were built upon Paul's hard work in the ward, canvassing every week, all year round, diligently attending to his casework and working hard in the local community. This is something he continues to do with the same enthusiasm and energy to this day. Paul inducted me into the ward, its community and the duties of a councillor, and for this I will forever be grateful. He is an incredibly hard and effective worker, a great team player and a great friend and colleague. This, despite Paul being the only colleague councillor who has actually been punched to the ground by a resident while canvassing. I believe he said nothing to provoke the other attack, other than, "Hello, I'm Councillor Kendrick," and clearly in some regards someone regarded this as sufficient provocation to punch him. And he's now served over a decade on the council's cabinet, and during this time he spent 11 years stewarding the council's finances. These have been very difficult years, as we all know. Between 2010 and 2024, this council lost 70% of its central government funding, and while many people have contributed to our successful and effective response to this situation, it is Paul who has held it all together and delivered financial balance every year with no cuts to frontline services. So thank you for your service, Paul. So, a year beckons, speeches, openings, unveilings, services, commemorations, dinners, canapes, and generally the very tough and demanding work as the city's first citizen. We wish you well, Paul, and we hope you enjoy every minute and make the most of it. Congratulations to you, Lord Mayor. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Stoddard. I call upon Councillor Catt to second the motion.
Formally seconded.
I will now put the motion to the vote. Will all councillors present please indicate? Those in favour? Those against? Abstentions? That's carried. I declare the said councillor, Kendrick, is duly elected.
of Norwich, Councillor Paul Kendrick.
I, Paul Kendrick, having been elected to the office of Lord Mayor of the City of Norwich, hereby declare that I take said office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties thereof according to the best of my abilities. It doesn't work. You may all sit. Today is the greatest honour of my life. This council has existed for 700 years, but I am appointed as Lord Mayor of Norwich. An hour ago I looked at the walls with those names of past mayors. I didn't think that I was not worthy. Instead I said to myself I had big boots to fill. While I grew up in a working class neighbourhood in the London borough of Brent, even in the 60s I had links to Norfolk and Norwich because my parents had a caravan in East Brighton where I'd spend my holidays and I would regularly travel to Norwich. I remember on the first day of independence at the age of 11 in 1970, I was allowed to visit Norwich Castle on my own. I remember going to see Norwich City Football Club playing at Carrow Road when the ground was surrounded by engineering factories rather than retail outlets. To my school teachers, while some may be turning in their graves, I hope others will look perhaps surprised but glad they did force me to learn something. I know I'm very grateful for what they did. I was first elected to public office in 1987, yes, nearly 40 years ago, to Hastings Borough Council. I still remember helping council tenants obtain the repairs that they needed. I must have done well because I was elected, as Mike Donald said, to East Sussex County Council 2 years later, where I gave a great deal of grief upon the Tory majority. Working with officers, I got a considerable capital investment into the local college, even to the surprise of the head of that college. In 1993, I was elected to Kent County Council. It was the only centre-left administration that county has ever known. I was appointed to be the chair of the Highways Committee. Due to the need to build links and channel ports, I managed the largest capital highways budget in the country. What is more important than that is that when I moved to Norwich, I was able to raise 3 lovely children. And I maintain that Norwich is one of the best cities to raise a family. In those early days, the part of the century, thanks to the Working Families Tax Credit, despite working a not very well-paid job at Burton's and Book Wholesalers, my children never went without daily meals or clothing. How sad that is no longer always true. Like I hear in cases of rickets, a disease today, I thought it was confined to the history books. While I'm very proud of my local government career, I'm even more proud of raising 3 children to become 3 responsible adults who have proven themselves to be effective, proud and productive citizens. I'm so glad they're all here today. I'm so proud of you all. I should also say that I was Father Christmas at the Castle Mall in 1987 and 1989, so there will be an awful lot of people in their 30s who will remember me, I'm sure, from those days, or at least have their pictures of me as Father Christmas. However, in 2011, I was first elected to Norwich City Council in the Captain Grove ward, defeating a former Lord Mayor of Norwich, E. Collishaw. I did very much have a personal vote in that ward, and I've been councillor for that ward for 14 years, winning at the last election the majority of those who voted their votes. But for the last 9 years, I've been a cabinet member for resources, which of course includes finances. So I've been holding the purse strings of the council. Over those years, when I told what job I did, they would usually ask, so when is Norwich City Council going to go bust? To which I replied, we are not going to go bust. The City Council has a strong financial position. Of course, over those years, I worked with 5 senior finance officers, all of whom were excellent. We were one of the few councils during that time that not only maintained being a living wage council, much I'm sure to the heart of the person like to be elected as sheriff, but we also maintained a 100% council tax reduction scheme to protect our poorest residents. One of this was the success of our commercial property acquisition scheme. To give an example, we bought a property in Cambridge Science Park in 2018 for £4.2 million. For 5 years, we earned £500,000 in rent, and we sold it for over £12 million. I wish to remind all members that in the 9 budget speeches I made, I never went over my time limit. It's now my role to prevent you from going over your time limit. I wish to announce that the civic charity for the coming year is the Norfolk and Waveney Mind. Mental health is an important issue in this city, and suicide prevention will be a key element in this. I know that growing up a young man, even in my day, was not easy. How much worse it is now for young men today in this time of social media. I'm looking forward to working with the sheriff I've already met, as well as working with the civil team. I realise it will be hard work being Lord Mayor, but I'm used to that, and I'm sure it will also be fun. I thank Council for allowing me to end my local government career as Lord Mayor of Norwich. Perhaps even I think I'm entitled to a few years of peace and quiet before I die, something I've never known in my life, because I have 3 children. I think no one will say at my funeral he didn't do enough for the community. Once again, I thank you very much for this tremendous honour. Thank you. The Lady Mayoress, Joanne Kendrick, will now be presenting the chain of office. Second. I call upon Councillor Hampton to move item 2, the appointment of the sheriff.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and a huge congratulations on your appointment. I'm really happy to now propose Stuart Wright as the administration's nomination for sheriff for the 2025 to 26 civic year. I'd like to talk a bit about Stuart's background, career and wider work to illustrate why we think he's a great fit for this position. Stuart was in the Army for 20 years, in the Royal Engineers, and retired in 2000 as a major. A short period later, he joined Aviva, initially in London before moving to Norwich in 2003. He's continued working for Aviva for the subsequent 20 plus years, currently as their Operations Net Zero Delivery Director, leading work towards their ambition for net zero operations and supply chains. Stuart and his wife Kathy, who he has been married to for 41 years, have raised their family in Norfolk, and their 3 children have all remained in the county. His one daughter is the joy of his life, and Stuart is also a keen gardener and a vintage tractor owner. It doesn't get much more Norfolk than that. So there's clearly a lot in Stuart's life and experiences which will lend itself to the role of sheriff, but I think it's fair to say what put him on the radar of this administration was his work over many years championing the real living wage, both within Aviva and as part of the wider movement across the city and country. Stuart led Aviva to achieving their real living wage accreditation back in 2012, a really significant step for the organisation and for the city as a whole to have such a key anchor institution make that jump. In 2014, he joined the Living Wage Advisory Council, becoming its chair in 2016 and until 2021, and that year he was presented with the Living Wage Lifetime Achievement Award in recognition of his commitment to the movement. Stuart currently serves as a trustee on the board of Citizens UK, the charity who originally founded and launched the Living Wage campaign. As a group, we believe Stuart's work on the Living Wage campaign and more widely encapsulates the values and attributes that will make a great sheriff. A track record of championing causes which progress social and environmental equality, of community and partnership working, and of carrying out duties with diligence and dedication. I have every confidence that Stuart, alongside Councillor Kendrick as Lord Mayor and their wider civic teams, will do our city proud. So I move that Stuart Wright, having the necessary qualifications, be appointed Sheriff of this ancient city for the ensuing civic year. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you very much. I call upon Councillor Wright to second the motion.
Thank you very much, Lord Mayor. May I also congratulate you on your new role and hope that you enjoy your year as much as I did. It's my great pleasure to say just a few words in seconding Stuart Wright for the position of Sheriff for this civic year. Anyone who's been involved with the Real Living Wage campaign in Norwich will either know or know of Stuart, and it's through Living Wage that I first met him. His involvement with the Living Wage Foundation in Norwich demonstrates his commitment to social causes and improving working conditions for people in Norwich and beyond. Stuart is also a regular collector for St Martin's during their December street collections, demonstrating a knack for engaging with the public, a key quality of the sheriff. Chief Exec of St Martin's, Dr Jan Sheldon, who was sheriff when I was Lord Mayor, describes him as a thoroughly nice guy. And if I knew nothing else about Stuart, then Jan's recommendation would be good enough for me. It's without doubt that through his work with the Living Wage Foundation, Stuart has lifted people in Norwich out of poverty and has been responsible for changing people's lives for the better. I have absolutely no doubt he will continue to be a huge advocate for our city in this new role and continue the long line of sheriffs in our city. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I now put the motion to the vote. Will councillors present please indicate those in favour? Yep. Those against? Abstentions? That carried. I declare that Stuart Wright duly appointed. Councillor Hampton and Councillor Wright will accompany the City Clerk to collect the new sheriff from the park. There will be a short break while we wait for your return.
stand to receive. Worship all the Sheriff of Norwich, Mr. Stuart Ross.
I, Stuart Wright, having been elected to the office of the Sheriff of the City of Norwich, hereby declare that I take the said office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties thereof, according to the best of my judgment and ability.
Please sit. I call upon Stuart Wright to acknowledge the honour conferred by his appointment.
Lord Mayor, Sheriff of Norwich, former Lord Mayor, former Lady Mayoress Councillors. Thank you. I'm honoured to be appointed to this historic role. I'm grateful to those who've gone before and offered their guidance. The overwhelming advice of this speech was keep it short. I'm humbled by the kind words of Councillor Hampton and Councillor Wright, who have proposed and accepted me for this post. I'll do my utmost to ensure that traditions of service and representation in this important office are upheld. I also wish to mention with great respect the leader of this council, Councillor Mike Sconnell, who approached me in the first instance with the proposal of nominating me as Sheriff of this fine city. I was surprised, but immediately interested. It was an easy decision. I came to Norwich nearly 25 years ago and joining what was then Norwich Union. I had no thought of civic office, and my focus was very much on getting to grips with a civilian job following 20 years in the British Army. In time, three things came together, which have led me here. Norwich Union, now of course Aviva, a passion that I did not know that I had to champion low-paid workers for a real living wage, and this City Council. Many of you will know the history of Norwich Union. There has been a presence in Norwich since 1792, when Thomas Bignell established the Norwich Union General Assurance Office. According to the deed of settlement, no more than £20 of gunpowder was to be kept in any building insured. Friends here from the fire service will be pleased to know that at least as early as 1812, we kept our own fire engine on Surrey Street. At that time, there were 8 Norwich Union clerks. Now there are around 6,000 Aviva colleagues. And there have been notable employees. John Cavell worked for Norwich Union and ran the air raid insurance department during the First World War. His sister was Edith Cavell, the celebrated British nurse who helped around 200 Allied soldiers to escape the Germans during the war. But what of the living wage? The Living Wage Foundation was started in 2001 by Citizens UK. A group of low-paid parents from churches, mosques, schools and synagogues met in Bethnal Green, East London, to discuss the problems affecting their lives. Many were working full-time on the government minimum wage, sometimes in 2 or 3 jobs, and still not earning enough to make ends meet. This coalition of communities called on major employers in East London to go beyond the government minimum and agreed that their employees and subcontracted teams would earn a real living wage that met the basic costs and pressures of their everyday lives. This was the catalyst of the Living Wage Foundation to be set up in 2011 for those employers who voluntarily take a stand to ensure that all their staff earn a real living wage based on what is needed to meet basic needs and to participate fully in society. The challenge of a living wage awakened the campaigner in me, and I was fortunate to be the chair of the Living Wage Foundation for 5 years. This enabled me to better understand the challenges. But I'm the first to admit I have no experience in work poverty and the struggles of those who are in work but unable to meet their basic needs. And Norwich is no stranger to poverty. Within the city we have some of the most affluent areas in the UK and some of the poorest. Norwich has high unemployment, but wages are considerably less than the UK average. Challenges of families who cannot afford to turn the heating on when cold, have missed a rent payment, or are worried about having to use a food bank, or where mental health has worsened due to the cost of living crisis. There are only 80 accredited living wage employers in the Norwich area, so the opportunity to reduce the challenge of in-work poverty is significant. Which brings me to this fine city. Norwich City Council was the first accredited living wage employer in Norwich, and one of the first local authorities to accredit anywhere in the UK. This was true leadership in 2012. The Norwich City Council remained a stalwart of the real living wage in Norwich and the wider campaign. There are then in Norwich, Norwich City Council and Aviva, 2 influential, value-driven organisations, and the Living Wage Foundation a worthy campaigning capability. Together, these are a powerful force for good. My hope and plan is that in the role of Sheriff, I can further cement and strengthen our historic relationship and together highlight the merits of the real living wage. The office of the Sheriff of Norwich was created in 1404 when Henry IV gave Norwich the right to appoint a mayor and sheriff. A wide variety of people have held this great office from many different walks of life and occupations. Records indicate that there may have been 24 sheriffs who were employees of Norwich Union whilst in office, and most notably Samuel Bignell, son of the Norwich Union founder, who was sheriff in 1830. An article in the Staff magazine from 1956 records a visit by the Lord Mayor and Sheriff to our Norwich office, apparently in accordance with an ancient custom of the society to receive an official visit by the Lord Mayor and the Sheriff during their year of office. I wonder if some traditions may be worth reviving. The article does report a fine lunch. Interestingly, there has not been a sheriff from Aviva or Norwich Union for over 50 years. And it's an incredible honour to be adding to this rich history. Before I conclude, a few thank yous. To Catherine, my wife, and Sheriff's Lady. I know that you're as daunted as I about the year ahead. Thank you for agreeing to be my lady. It may well be that we will see more of each other than we usually do. To my guests, thank you for coming and for your continued support. I'm so proud of my 3 children who are all here today to support me. And to my team and other colleagues at Aviva, I know that there will be additional pressures to absorb as I take on this new role. Thank you for your warm wishes. Finally, I'd like to recognise and thank the previous civic team, Councillor Vivian Thomas and Sergeant Islam and their consorts, who have been dedicated, committed and hard-working, real ambassadors for Norwich in the past year. I'm humbled and honoured to be elected as the Sheriff of Norwich in 2025. I will do my best to do this historic office justice as the local officer of dignity and as an ambassador for Norwich, a city that deserves the best for each of us. Thank you. I now ask the sword bearer to invest the Sheriff's Lady, Catherine White, with her badge of office. I name my under sheriff as Miss Jane Mary Anderson.
Thank you very much. I call upon Councillor Stonham to move item 3, the vote of thanks to the outgoing Lord Mayor and outgoing Sheriff.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and once again, congratulations on your elevation. I'm very pleased to propose a vote of thanks to previous Lord Mayor and Sheriff for the past civic year. You both worked tirelessly during the year to represent the city and have done so magnificently. I'm aware that over 350 events have been attended, including strong public engagement at community events, faith events, schools, festivals and more. In particular, you've attended fundraising events for the civic charity, the Benjamin Foundation, which works to support carers in the city, and we will later discover how much you managed to raise for them. 350 events is a huge workload, and I can confidently say on behalf of all of us that you now deserve a well-earned rest. I should also like to pay tribute to your consorts who have willingly shared this workload with you, and I want to acknowledge your contribution, Vaughan, during a year when, and I hope you don't mind me saying it, your health has not been its best, to say the least, and we all wish you better health going forward. With Vaughan. I also want to acknowledge the contribution of Sadia Islam, daughter of Sirajul Islam, and the Sheriff's Consort for the last year. I know that during the year, both the Lord Mayor and Sheriff have made many new friends and connections, many of which I hope will endure well into the future. You also now have valuable insights into the various communities which make up this fine and diverse city, and in particular of the valuable community work that is being done throughout the city, often by hard-working but not very visible ordinary volunteers. You've had an opportunity to shine a light on their work and show them the gratitude of the city for all that they do. And that is a very important part of the roles you've occupied. I know you've done that, and I know it's been greatly appreciated. I also know that you greatly value the Lord Mayor's weekend, as we all do, and enjoyed it, and the celebration, as we all do, for the sheer joy and community cohesion that it brings. In addition, I'd like to thank Viv for her chairing of full council meetings, which I know at first Viv you were a little apprehensive of and were determined to get right, which you did. There was no reason at all to be apprehensive, and you quite rightly have been a strong man-minded and independent chair of the meetings, guided by officers on procedure, but making your own decisions on what you thought right, and not allowing yourself to be influenced by other considerations. And I knew from day one, woe betide me if I tried to do otherwise. Where this has led to occasional criticism, you remain strong and determined to remain independent, and you have commanded respect for that. So as I say, both of you have a good rest after a demanding year, and enjoy, if it is retirement or retirement for civic duties anyway, enjoy the rest, and thank you.
I call upon Councillor Catt to second the motion.
formally seconded, and congratulations on your new role, Lord Mayor. I want to pass on the thanks from the Green Group to the outgoing Sheriff and to the Lord Mayor for their work. I also wanted to pick up on something that Stuart said in his point about the state of poverty. I think it's really important that we kind of need to say that in all of these meetings as much as we can. We've got, I think, a challenging year ahead of us. We found ourselves under another government of austerity. We've had things like winter fuel payment cuts to disabled people and more that are hitting some of the vulnerable people in our communities. And I think it's just incumbent on all of us to take on that challenge for the year ahead. Thank you.
I will now put the motion to the vote. Will all councillors present please indicate? Those in favour? Thank you. Against? Abstentions? The motion is carried. I call upon the outgoing Lord Mayor, Vivian Thomas, to respond.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. It has been an honour and privilege to have served as the Lord Mayor of Norwich. Norwich is a wonderful, thriving city. This past year, I have gained insight into the abundance of community activity and traditions that go hand in hand with our city. The civic year has been full of numerous and varied events. Annual events, including the Duck Race, Lord Mayor's Parade, Norwich Run, Civic Service, Remembrance Sunday and VE Day events, along with art and music events. AGMs, faith services, school visits, business openings, to mention a few, along with unveiling plaques and cutting ribbons. Every event, large or small, has been unique and special in its own way. A big thank you to all the many individuals and organisations who have shared their celebrations with us. It has been a pleasure to have been able to meet you all. The civic roles are an integral part of our city's history and culture. I would like to say thank you to Sirajul Islam, who has served alongside me as Sheriff, along with Sadia Islam. It has been a pleasure getting to know you both. Thanks go to Vaughan and the rest of my family and friends, colleagues and volunteers at John the Baptist Cathedral who have supported me all along my civic journey. Thank you to all the colleagues in City Hall, all who work here, and the civic team who work hard annually every year, organising us all. I congratulate Councillor Paul Kendrick on his appointment as Lord Mayor for 2025-26, along with the Lady Mayoress Joanne Kendrick and Stuart Wright, newly appointed Sheriff, along with Consort and Lady Catherine Wright. Thanks go to the Benjamin Foundation, who have shared this journey with us as our charity fee for our civic year. I'm sure the incoming civics will have a wonderful year, and I wish you all the luck. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I call upon the outgoing Sheriff, Sirajul Islam, to respond.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon to all ladies and gentlemen. To start with, I would like to congratulate to Honourable Lord Mayor Councillor Paul Kendrick and Honourable Sheriff of Norwich Stuart Wright. I believe the wealth of experience you brought throughout your career will help to flourish the good work going on in the city. Definitely the city will benefit from your good and impacting contribution. I really appreciate Norwich City Council. When I was nominated as a sheriff, I wasn't expecting that. I took it and I was a bit nervous to start with. How am I going to do it? Because I've been brought up in a different culture. I live by my faith. But through together effort, your support is really brilliant here, and we did a lot of community engagement, meet so many people faith leaders, community leaders, the great works going on, we wouldn't know throughout the city the amount of volunteers that were going on for those charities. Really thank you all for nominating me for this position. I also like to thank you, my colleague Vivian Thomas, her consort, ex-Lord Mayor Vaughan Thomas, been a good, long-time friend, and really true friend, guidance and everything. So I really appreciate you all for all the years. I thank you, all the civic staff, for your support. You've been very helpful, very clear guidelines and everything. So thank you all. And I would like to finish my speech to thank you, my family, great family. I have 4 children. I came in Norwich before they born. So been brought up in here, they all went to uni, they're doing very well. And without their support, I wouldn't be here today. Thank you very much.
Offer my thanks to both the outgoing Mayor and Sheriff too. I call upon Councillor Hopper to move item 4, election of a Deputy Lord Mayor.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and may I add my congratulations on your election this afternoon. I move that Councillor Wright be elected as Deputy Lord Mayor for the new civic year.
I call upon Councillor Jones to second the motion.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I'm really proud to be able to second this motion for Councillor Wright to be Deputy Lord Mayor. I think we could all agree that there is no one with a stronger connection to this city, and we know that he will do this role with honour.
Thank you very much. I now put the motion to the vote. Will all councillors present please indicate? Those in favour? Thank you very much. Against? Abstentions? Carried. I therefore declare that the said Councillor James Wright be duly elected. Thank you very much. Move on to the next item. I will call upon Councillor Hampton to move item 5, the election of the leader of the council.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and congratulations again. I'm pleased to now propose Councillor Mike Stonnard as leader of the council. Over the past civic year, under Councillor Stonnard's leadership, this council has continued to deliver for our city and its communities. This was the first year of implementation of our ambitious We Are Norwich community-led plan, and despite a number of challenges, we were able to once again set a balanced budget which underpins the priorities it sets out, as well as protecting services, investing in the future, and maintaining our extensive 100% council tax reduction scheme to protect some of the most vulnerable in our city. Under Councillor Stonnard's leadership, this council has been able to purchase Angle Square, following significant grant funding from Homes England, showing what can be achieved by a Labour government working in collaboration with a Labour-led council. Mike's dedication to this project over the years, as leader, and before that as cabinet member with responsibility for development, has paved the way for this opportunity, and as a result, we're about to end years of private sector failure to regenerate the site, while delivering enhanced levels of social housing too. And of course, another key development following the election of a majority Labour government in July is the prospect of local government reform and devolution having been placed firmly back on the table. The fact that we have entered the fast track programme and now have consensus among 6 out of 7 Norfolk local authorities around the need for a free unitary model for the county, including a Greater Norwich on extended urban boundaries, is testament to Mike's tireless work to put our case to local council partners, government representatives and other stakeholders. This is a crucial time for our city and council, and Councillor Stonnard is without a doubt the best person to continue leading this important work, while also driving forward other important work streams to protect and enhance the services that matter to residents and to future-proof our city. Having served as Mike's deputy this past year, I've been able to get a good insight into the sheer amount of work that these projects and achievements have required, among many others that there isn't time to go into here, and then of course add to that the numerous other meetings, visits and responsibilities that go with being leader. Mike has carried out his duties diligently and collaboratively, championing our city and promoting social, environmental and economic justice. So thank you, Mike, for your leadership this past year, and Lord Mayor, I move that Councillor Mike Stannard be elected as leader of the council. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I call upon Councillor Sue Sands to second the motion.
It gives me great pleasure to second the election of Councillor Mike Stannard and as leader of the council, and to continue the hard work the council has already put in. And I think that, as Councillor Hampton says, that, you know, the testimony is there before us, and I also reserve the right to speak.
Thank you very much.
Point of order, Lord Mayor.
Say yes.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. In previous years, the most important decision this council makes as leader has been a matter for debate. On this occasion, we've been told there is to be no debate as to who the leader is or point of opposing views. Would the Lord Mayor be so good as to set out his reasoning for that decision using either constitution or precedent, bearing in mind that in previous years we have debated this?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Essentially, a nomination is a motion without notice, which is put immediately to the vote. There is no debate. You are now going to be given the chance to put another nomination forward, and that is your opportunity to speak as a proposer and a seconder if you wish to do that. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you very much. So you do have an opportunity to make another nomination. Are there any other nominations? No, I don't see any. Thank you very much. I will therefore put the motion to the vote. Will all councillors present please indicate? Those in favour? Against? Abstentions? Thank you very much. That is carried. I declare that Councillor Mike Sands, Councillor Mike Stannard. Promotion then. I therefore declare that Councillor Mike Stannard has been duly elected as leader of the council. Having elected Councillor Mike Stannard as leader of the council, I call upon Councillor Stannard to outline his cabinet appointments.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. The cabinet for 25-26 will be as follows, and I can also inform you of the portfolios. So, leader, Councillor Stannard, me, deputy leader and climate and environment, Councillor Hampton, finance and major projects, Councillor Harper, housing, Councillor Jones, culture and wellbeing, Councillor Kidman, planning and regulatory, Councillor Giles, and equalities and social justice, Councillor Padder.
Thank you very much. Like I say, it's a great relief after a decade. My name is not on that list. Thank you very much. I call upon Councillor Padder to move item 7, the appointment of the honorary recorder.
Brilliant. Thank you, Lord Mayor, and congratulations on your appointment, and congratulations to the Sheriff. I would like to propose the Council appoints Her Honour Judge Alice Robinson as the honorary recorder for the 25-26 civic year. Thank you.
I call upon Councillor Catt to second the motion.
Formally seconded.
I will put the motion to the vote. Will all councillors present please indicate? Those in favour? Thank you. Against? Abstentions? Thank you very much. That is carried. I declare Honour Judge Alice Robinson duly appointed. I call upon Councillor Stannard to move item 8, political proportionality, composition and membership committees for Norwich City Council 2025-2026 as amended.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. These are set out in the appendix, and I formally reserve the right to speak. Thank you.
I call upon Councillor Mike Sands to second the motion.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and my congratulations to you and the new Sheriff as well. And I formally second this
Thank you very much. I will now put the motion to the vote. Will all councillors present please indicate? Those in favour? Against? Abstentions? That is carried. Thank you very much. I call upon Councillor Stannard to move item 9, the Chair of the Scrutiny Committee.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I formally propose Councillor Wright to the position of Chair of the Scrutiny Committee.
I call upon Councillor Jones to second the motion.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I'm pleased to be able to second this motion and look forward to attending the screening this year.
Are there any other nominations? Thank you very much. I will put the motion to the vote. Will all councillors present please indicate? Those in favour? Against? Abstentions? That is carried. I call upon Councillor Stannard to move item 10, the Chair of the Planning Applications Committee.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I formally propose Councillor Driver for Chair of the Planning Applications Committee. Reserve the right to speak.
I call upon Councillor Hampton to second the motion.
Formally seconded. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you very much. Are there any other nominations? No. I will therefore put the motion to the vote. Will all councillors present please indicate? Those in favour? Against? Anyone? Abstentions? And that is carried. I call upon Councillor Stannard to move item 11, the Chair of the Audit Committee.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I formally propose Councillor Schmierer to Chair of the Audit Committee for the civic year 2025-2026. Reserve the right to speak.
I call upon Councillor Hampton to second the motion.
Formally seconded. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Are there any other nominations? I will put the motion to the vote. Will all councillors present please indicate? Those in favour? Yep. Anyone against? No. Abstentions? No. That's carried. I call upon Councillor Stannard to move item 12, Chairman of the Licensing and Regulatory Committee.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I formally propose Councillor Huntley to the position of Chair of Licensing and Regulatory Committee for the civic year 2025-26. Reserve the right to speak.
I call upon Councillor Hampton to second the motion.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Formally seconded.
Are there any other nominations? Thank you very much. I will put the motion to the vote. Will all councillors present please indicate? Those in favour? Good. Against? No. Abstentions? That is carried. I call upon Councillor Stannard to move item 13, appointments to bodies as laid out in the tabulated paper. Is this the point?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. There is a slight amendment, as the members will note, in the table of papers with regards to the Norwich Preservation Trust Limited. After speaking with the leader, it's confirmed that 2 seats would be for the Green Group to allocate, so I advise you, Lord Mayor, to ask the Green Group to list their proposed names for that.
So would from the Green Group like to put forward 2 names there, please?
I can do that, Lord Mayor. I will be putting myself forward and Councillor Schmierer for this committee.
Thank you very much. I call upon Councillor Hampton to second the amended motion.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Formally seconded.
I put the motion to the vote.
Point of order, Lord Mayor. Thank you. Can you confirm, as Lord Mayor, that the papers were properly served in the time required for the meeting? We had these papers yesterday. It's either 3 days or 5 days. You'll be able to confirm which it is with the requirements. Thank you.
I will ask the legal officer to respond.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. As these are appointments, we can actually table them on the day as, again, a motion without notice. So you don't have to have notice in the papers. We can table them right up to the day. We've tabled them in advance for ease and transparency so that people know who are being appointed. but there's no legal requirement to do that for appointments.
Thank you. I'm grateful for the belated legal advice.
Thank you very much. Paul Pancup, sorry, Councillor Stollard.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. At risk of perhaps
at risk of being accused of having a very poor short-term memory, I'm not sure you asked me formally to propose.
Yes, sorry, could you formally propose?
Right, I formally propose. Thank you.
I call upon Councillor Hampton to second the motion.
I formally second it. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Very much. I now put the motion to the vote. Will all councillors present please indicate? Those in favour? But again, yes. Against? Abstentions? That's carried. This concludes the business of the meeting. Thank you very much.
Distinguished guests, the newly appointed Lord Mayor and the Sheriff, together with